Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to Revest Fishing. Appreciate you guys watching the videos. What we're going to go over today is something a little different. We're not going to do any fishing today. Well, I'm going to go fishing this evening, and we'll see that at a later date. But what I wanted to do is shoot a quick video on my GoPro setup and how I set up my boat to run my GoPros for a day of fishing. If anybody is familiar with GoPros, their battery times are like impressively short, like an hour and a half of video, and you're going to be out of batteries and have to be switching it. So how I have mine set up for all day running, we're gonna go over that. And so let's get started with how I do my chest mount, and I'll show you guys my other setup with the chest mount, but we're gonna start there so you guys can see the rest of the setup. So for the chest mount, I just have it's like a generic, there's a kit on Amazon. It's like an Amazon Basics like GoPro bundle, and it comes with a bunch of stuff. It comes with a bunch of mounts and accessories, and some of the accessories are kind of not good and some of the accessories are pretty quality. I bought that a long time ago for my Hero 3. That's right over here. But this is the chest mount that came with it. It's just a cheap knockoff of the GoPro. It's not a GoPro style mount, or it's not a GoPro like branded mount. It's just a generic chest mount. There's a bunch of them on Amazon that you can get, but this is just a generic chest mount. That's what I use for that. And then the piece that I got recently that allows me to do chest mount, and I can go probably about 7 hours probably with this setup if I stop recording when I'm not fishing. So on my chest mount, I run a GoPro Hero 7 Black. I shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second on super view with the stabilization turned on. And what I do is I put that in a refuel battery kit. Yeah, I put that in the refuel battery kit, and so I'll show you how that kind of works. So what you do is you take your camera, you take the side door off, it just pops off. And what you do is you just slide your in there, and then it plugs in that USB-C adapter. You close that onto there, snap it on, and then now this is fully waterproof as long as you have this turned and twisted and locked where the charging goes for the battery itself. And so this it's supposed to give you like 7 hours, I think, at 1080p, or 8 hours. I think it's supposed to give you 8 hours at 1080p, and 9 hours at 720, and like 6 hours at 4K. But so far in my testing, I got about 7 hours out of the 1080p, but that's with stopping the recording. So what I'll do is I'll fish a spot, get done fishing a spot, stop the recording, I leave the camera on and leave the refuel system on, but I stop the camera while I'm running the boat, go drive to the next spot, hop on the trolling motor, re-hit the record button and continue fishing again. And I've been able to, I got 7 hours out of one event where I was able to actually run it most of the day. I have had some issues, which is just a general GoPro issues, where I have some issues with overheating. I've had issues on the Hero 8 and the Hero 7 and some overheating on those days where it's like 90 and bright sun. Something that helps with that is actually taking out the battery. I've taken out the battery, and we'll go over more on that. But you can take the battery out of this, but when you take the internal battery out, you lose a lot of time. You lose about an hour and a half of recording time. So that's how I set that up. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on here real fast, and then we'll jump over and I'll show you guys the rest of my setup. So probably my only complaint about this refill kit, and it might just be that I can probably get a new screw, but it's really hard to tighten that and untighten it when you get it tight, because you have very limited space to grab that. So we'll tighten that on there. And I like to run it, I don't know if you guys can see that, when I'm running my chest cam, I don't run it like that. I don't run it parallel. You got to run it pointing down just a little bit. It seems like when you're fishing you get a better angle doing that. So I'm gonna throw this on real fast, and then we'll jump over and I'll show you guys the rest of the setup. All right guys, so we hopped over now on the chest mount, so you can see. So this is pointing vertical. What I generally do when I'm fishing is point it down a little bit. It gives you just a little bit better view of the water, but we're gonna just point vertical for today. So now you can see my setup here. It's not as clean as when I'm fishing a tournament. I didn't want to do it because I gotta wrap it up. But how I run this, I have a GoPro Hero 8 Black, which I won from Yellow Tech. So shout out Yellow Tech for winning that. I won that competition online, just luck of the draw. So I got that GoPro Hero 8 Black from them here. I run that on so this is when I'm fishing team tournaments or I have a partner in the boat. I have that on a GoPro suction cup mount with a GoPro gooseneck trailer here. Just put that on there, clip it on, and then what I do is I run this power cord, which I bought on Amazon. I'll link in the description. It's actually a 2-pack. I have a second one right here, it just comes in a 2-pack, and that would work for this Hero 7 also. But I just run this cord down into a plug here. Now the only bad thing about the plug is that it can get bumped, obviously, with where it's at in the walk. Like if you're running up to get a net of fish, or I've already broke one of these. I hit it with my knee and I broke one of the USB spots. So that's kind of a downside to this setup. I'll link this piece as well. What I want to do is I think upgrade this to a get rid of this piece and just make it a flat USB plug. We'll see. So when I'm running the Hero 8 Plus, I also run it camera settings wise at 1080p 60 frames per second. However, I don't do the super view. I don't like it. I feel like you get too much of like the deck in the shot. So I run it on wide. So this camera that you're seeing this on is in super view. This camera is on the wide at angle settings at 1080p 60 frames per second also. And then for the co-angler cam, the Tim cam, when he's fishing with me in team tournaments, I run a GoPro Hero 3 white. So that's right here, the GoPro Hero 3 white, and I run that at 720p 60 frames per second because that GoPro Hero did not have a 1080p 60 frames per second. It only shoots at 720 60, or 1080 30 is the best setting, and I ran it on 1080 30, but it really zooms in, and I don't like the look with it zoomed in on the back deck like that. Plus this max SD, and that's 64 gigs, and with the shooting in 1080p 60 frames per second, I'd have to change out the SD on that for a full day of fishing. I also have that plugged in, a different style plug because it's not the USB-C, but I also run it here. So when I'm fishing in a tournament, I wrap these. So I get it tied up against here to shorten this distance as much as I can. And then I wrap it around here, plug in. So you can see, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's actually charging right now. So is this one. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's also charging there too. That keeps them on all day. Now, a trick to that is that with the GoPro Hero 8 and the 7, they do like to overheat if they're in the sun. They're obviously black, which I get, but I really wish they didn't make them black because it takes so much heat in those hot sunny days of fishing. So what I do is I pull the battery out of here. So I'll run no battery in that. The only downside is if you hit a big wake, it's been known to jiggle that cord and it'll lose connection. That's why I want a straight USB, and I'll lose that shot. So that's why sometimes you get the full boat runs and sometimes you don't. And then for SD card, before we go, how I set up solo fishing for SD cards, this has the camera you're seeing this on now is a Samsung, I think it's Samsung Evo Plus. I'll put the link in the description. This is a 256 gig card, right here on my chest. This runs a P&Y Pro Elite 256 gig SD card, and then I have a 64 gig SanDisk Extreme in the Hero 3. Now for some reason, I don't know why, but the 64 gig in the Hero 3, it's like, I don't know if I just have a good card or what's going on, but I can actually get like almost 8 hours of fishing on a 64 gig card, which I don't know why. My other ones don't. My other ones only go about 4.5 or 5 hours. So I don't know why that card seems to go a lot longer. So I run that card specifically in those tournaments because I know it runs longer. So it's 256 gig cards, and then this is a 64 gig card. So generally a full day of fishing, I'm coming out with close to, 8 hours. I'm probably getting close to like 300-400 gigs of data coming out of that, and it's large. So now we're gonna move to my solo setup. So when I'm fishing by myself, I take this camera off, which I'm not gonna do for you guys now. But when I won that the Yellowtech competition, I actually won this Power Stick Yellowtech 53. That plugs into that back light pole back there. I'm not gonna take you guys back there, but it plugs in that back light pole. I can lock it in, and then I run their quad cord, the Yellowtech quad cord. You just plug it in right here, and I wrap it around, plug it into that Hero 8 Plus. And then this actually has power, obviously, that comes added to it, and I run the same thing. So the good thing about when I'm running solo and I plug that in the back is that I don't ever have that jiggle problem where it turns the camera off. I have not had that problem. It runs all day, no problems at all. And generally, it's only when it gets real rough outside do I lose that camera. I think the last tournament that I had Saturday, I didn't lose that. This never jumped off all day, so that was good. So anyway, that's my camera setup, guys. Power Stick 53 Gen 3 quad cord plugged in the back, same settings, wide camera angle, 1080p 60 frame. So all right, guys, that wraps up my setup video. I'll be sure to link the description, or should be link in the description all the cords and plugs and different things like that I use. But that's my GoPro setup. It's been working for me really good, besides the overheating issues that we come. But here comes the fall, when we get some little colder temperatures, I don't think we'll have those issues anymore. I actually ran the battery in the GoPro Hero 8 the whole last tournament and never had an issue, so the cameras get hot. Now, I do think if you ran it at 4K, I don't think you'd be able to do it. I think you'd get hot and overheat, but we'll run that 1080p 60. I really like the way it looks. Runs really good, and that's my camera setup. So if you guys have any questions, or if I missed something, feel free to comment below and I'll be sure to get back to you on my setup. But that's how I set it up. I really love shooting these videos. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit like a side job sometimes, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really cool to go back. I actually think it's made me a better angler shooting these videos. I go back and I look and watch on fish, on misses, and see, okay, if I missed that fish, what did I do, or what did I do to trigger that bite? Did I do something different with the rod? Or it's just very interesting to see, to go back and look to see what I was doing. And same with, like, if I missed something while I'm on the water, it gives you a chance to go back and look. And I pretty much cover all camera angles with this setup. The only thing I really don't have is this very middle section of the boat here, which sometimes comes in with netting, but if the chest cam's up and functional, then you get that view. So I really enjoy shooting these videos for you guys. I hope you guys like the content. If you have any questions, be sure to just ask me. I'll be sure to get back to you. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we're gonna go out fishing this afternoon, so we'll have more fishing, more fall fishing here soon. So really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you out on the next one.